What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so there's definitely a more concerted effort to attack the legacy of Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. I find it real despicable because you'll see the media, the usual media suspects, and the media tainted sports websites with different people who are affiliated with that site, who are obviously on the payroll with the media, and they'll make it seem like we are the ones who are the aggressors. We're the ones that are slandering LeBron James. When, if anything, I'm saying, we're playing defense. We're playing defense from what has been an ongoing assault on the legacies of Michael Jordan and the legacy of Kobe Bean Bryant. Okay? Now, this is the thing. It's shifted now more to social media, right? People spend more and more of their time on social media. I suspect a lot of these guys, they're being compensated to say some of the stuff they're saying because of just the nature of their content. You got guys who grew up watching Kobe, watching Mike, but mysteriously they seem to just love LeBron James. And their content and their viewpoints are constantly, contradicting themselves, But anyway, I seen a video from some person who said that Kobe Bryant's 2004 NBA Finals performance should be disparaged and should be talked about more, as opposed to LeBron James's in 2011, when, of course, he had an infamous meltdown versus the Dallas Mavericks, right? And basically, they lost their finals, and we know Kobe had a terrible performance in that finals. So why is that one not talked about as much as LeBron's in 2011, right? Well, the main reason is because before that performance, Kobe and Shaq had three-peated. They were already three-time NBA champions. Kobe Bryant was already a three-time NBA champion by the time he was, 23? 24? 23. He was already a three-time champion by age 23. So he lost the finals at age 24. Yes, they were the favorites going into that series, the Lakers. They were. But in hindsight, we now know just how great that Detroit Pistons team was. They had one of the greatest defenses of all time, right? One of the greatest defenses of all time. Whereas that Dallas Maverick team that had a hell of a run, they weren't an all-time great defense. There's really no excuse for LeBron James to have performed the way he performed in that finals. There really isn't. There's really no logical explanation as to why he played as poorly as he did, other than the fact that he choked. That's it. That's the only thing that can really make any sense. Whereas with Kobe Bryant, Tayshaun Prince, who's at the peak of his powers, that Detroit Pistons team was at its absolute peak as far as his efficacy on defense. They were in their absolute prime. Plus, as I just stated, Kobe Bean Bryant was already a three-time NBA champion. LeBron left Cleveland, right? Very loudly, I might add, with an annoying television event special called The Decision, in which the self-important LeBron James wanted all eyes on him when he made the proclamation that he was signing with Miami, going to, as he put it, take his talents or lack thereof to South Beach. So all the pieces were in place for this guy to get his first NBA championship. Only for him, his first year with Miami, only for him to waste their first finals trip by having a historically awful performance. I think he scored something like 9 points fewer per game in that series compared to what he had averaged previously. Historically awful for a guy in his absolute prime. And he was being outscored and stopped by guys like J.J. Barrera, and Jason Terry. And I mean, these are people who he should have absolutely destroyed. Let's not forget, LeBron James is much bigger and stronger than Kobe Bean Bryant. What happened to that physicality in that series? Right? What happened to all of that? Kobe was more of a jump shooter. And, jump shooters are much more susceptible to having off shooting nights. Now, he had more than his share of off shooting nights in that series, but I also can say this. As poorly as Kobe Bean Bryant played in that series, we can also make the argument that Ben Wallace did a good job slowing down Shaq, even though Shaq did shoot 63% from the floor. You can also make the observation that if it wasn't for Kobe Bean Bryant, it would have been a 4-game sweep in 2004. Remember, Kobe Bean Bryant hit the shot to send the game in overtime. I think it was game 2 of that series, in which the Lakers ultimately won, largely to Kobe Bryant's heroics. So if it wasn't for Kobe Bean Bryant, that series would have been a sweep. So it wasn't like Kobe was playing so poorly and he was by himself. Karl Malone was hurt. Gary Payton was finally in the part of his career where he was becoming a shell of himself. Let's not let memory and let the passage of time, don't let that blur what the reality was of that situation. What LeBron did was an all-time choke job. All time. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.